in the adolescent period, because of the different changes that takes place pertaining to their social changes, emotional changes, and the psychological changes, there are changes in the food habits also. Psychological pressures on the adolescents influence their eating habits. Whenever a boy or a girl they are disturbed emotionally, then that will affect their eating habit. It will have an impact on the type of food they choose or the amount of food they eat. They may try not to eat, or sometimes they may even overeat when there are psychological disturbances. Boys generally tend to have a better appetite than the girls, and this helps them to meet the nutritional demands. When we see the appetite of the adolescent boys, it is higher when compared to the girls. We may find adolescent boys eating maybe 6 chapatis, 10 chapatis at a go, because they have a large appetite because of their growth, because of the hormonal changes, and also they do plenty of physical activity. And because of this large appetite, they are able to eat more food, and this will help them to meet their nutritional requirement. Food pattern in the girls with considerable amount of fat deposits. This fat deposit they have attained during the pre-pubertal period, and they also take or undertake less physical activity. When comparing the physical activity of the girls and the boys, the girls do less amount of physical activity, and this itself can lead to weight gain. So during the school going period, the child may not have any kind of restriction, and they are free to go and play, involve themselves in group activities, and they do lot of physical activity when they were a child. But because of the onset of menstruation, the girls in particular may have certain restrictions at home and in the society, and they may be reluctant to undertake physical activities or to participate in a sport or to participate in a team event. And also, figure consciousness due to social pressure may force her into a self imposed crash diet. So, at this period, girls give more attention to their physical appearance, right? How they look is of greater concern to them when compared to their health. And because of social pressures, what is the social pressure? They want to look slim. They want, and girls are unaware that the fat deposits had occurred in their body in order to enhance the growth of the individual. And therefore, they want to look thin. And what they do is they take certain crash diets. What are crash diets? Crash diets are those that provide very less amount of energy. They consume very less amount of food for weight loss, or they starve. Starve is they don't consume food at all, leading to eating disorders such as bulimia and anorexia nervosa. These eating disorders we will see later. The adolescents develop a liking for fast foods, which are nutritionally inadequate and are rich in saturated fats, and they may also skip meals at times. So, plenty of eating problems exist among the adolescent girls. One is they want to be figure conscious, they want to look slim, and therefore they avoid eating food. They eat very less amount of food, and sometimes they also undertake fasting. They go without food to their school, and sometimes they eat food that are nutritionally inadequate, and they also have the habit of skipping the meals, not eating the breakfast, or sometimes they don't eat the dinner, and they eat lot of junk foods or fast foods which provide them only empty calories. Adolescents should be educated to consume a balanced nutritional diet, including iron rich, calcium rich, protein rich foods, and avoiding junk foods providing empty calories. So they have plenty of eating problems associated during the adolescent period, and the adolescent children should be educated to consume a balanced diet that is healthy, that will provide all the nutrients they need, and the nutrients in particular iron, calcium, and protein. Adolescents should be advised not to miss meals and that emotions should not dominate during their meals. So, whenever we are depressed, when we are angry, we feel dejected, when we are out of mood, the first impact will be on the food that we consume. So you eat less amount of food, or sometimes you don't feel like eating food and you go away without eating the food to your college or school, and you may go to sleep without eating the food. So the adolescent children must understand that their emotions are different and food intake is different. So emotions should not overtake their hunger and appetite. We shall now look into the different types of eating disorders that are common among the adolescent children. Binge eating. Binge eating is a eating disorder characterized by consumption of a large amount of food in a small amount of time. This can occur at any age, but it is recognized mostly in the adulthood. What is binge eating? Eating a lot of food. நொறுக்கு தீனி நிறைய சாப்பிடுறது. Like for example, you have a quarter kg chips packet with you. You sit in front of the television and start watching some program in the television. And as you watch the program, you keep eating and you don't realize that you have completed everything that you had in hand, and suddenly you look into the bowl or you look into the packet and find that you have eaten everything. So that type of eating, right, it can be in any form, any type of food can be eaten. So that kind of eating food without realizing that you have consumed a large quantity is called as the binge eating. The individual suffering from this disorder is either overweight or obese. They are eating plenty of food, and because of additional food intake, they are in positive energy balance, and this leads to overweight. Overweight means when a person's weight is more than 10% of the standard normal weight, it is called as overweight. And if the person's weight is more than 20% of the standard normal weight, they are called as the obese individual. Because they have such eating habit, without realizing they are eating, they will eat a large quantity of food. They are in positive energy balance, and therefore they may be overweight or obese. And associated with this overweight or obesity, they may also be prone to certain disorders such as high blood pressure, hypertension, hypercholesterolemia, where the amount of cholesterol in the blood is high, and they may also develop type 2 diabetes. Frequent dieting with erratic increase and decrease in weight is found among the binge eaters. Binge eaters, as I said earlier, they eat a lot of food, and because they are overweight or obese, they may also have the habit of dieting, and because they diet, there will be rapid reduction in weight. So they will find that they have reduced their weight, and once again they will start eating and increase their weight. So there will be erratic increase and decrease in the weight of the individual, and they may eat only when hungry. So this three meal pattern they do not follow. They will eat only when they are hungry, or sometimes they eat to a point of extreme discomfort, which means huge quantity of food will be consumed and they will feel like vomiting, or they may get a stomach ache, and they consume large food within a short period of time, and they avoid eating at social gathering or eating only small amounts in front of others. So when they go for a party, when they go for a function, and if they have to eat in front of others, they know that they are overweight or obese, and they don't want others to make fun of them, mock at them. Therefore, in a gathering, when they are eating together in a group, they will try to eat only small food, right? So they want to pass the message across to other people that they eat only small amount of food, but in spite of that they are overweight or obese. So that is the impression they want to create with the other people. and they eat only small amount of food when others are observing them. They either avoid physical activity or anything that may invite attention or increased awareness about one's own body. So, because they are obese or they are overweight, they may even not feel like doing exercise like jogging or skipping or doing a yoga, because they know that the others may observe them and they may make fun of them. So they will avoid doing physical activity or any kind of activity that will invite the attention of the other people who are around them. Psychological changes and the signs in these people who are binge eaters, who are overweight or obese, who have a very erratic eating pattern, they also have psychological problems such as depression, loneliness, guilt, or shame. That is, they overeat and then they realize they had eaten a lot of food, and so they feel shameful. And they also have a low self esteem, inferiority complex sets in. They are not able to control when eating and are unable to stop eating. Once they start eating, they are not able to control their eating, and they are always preoccupied with the dieting, body weight, or the food. So all the time, even when they do some other work, they are always preoccupied with what they have to do, how they have to eat, what food they have to avoid, and what they can do to reduce their body weight. And all these will be there in their mind all the time, constantly. Both psychological and nutritional counseling is extremely important for the binge eaters. Of course, they should be given nutritional counseling. They should be given, they should be taught what they should eat, what they should not eat. You can make a diet chart for these people and give a diet chart and ask them to follow this. And that alone is not important. You should also give them psychological counseling, because they have a plenty of psychological problems also. So that also has to be rectified. Otherwise, the psychological problems itself can make them binge eaters. The next eating disorder is called as anorexia nervosa. Anorexia nervosa is an eating disorder which is characterized by refusal to eat and loss of body weight. They don't eat and nobody can make them eat. So that is the problem in anorexia nervosa. This is more common among adolescent girls when they try to avoid eating food due to over consciousness of their figure and also due to social stress. So they are very much worried about their physical appearance, and they're also worried about what the other people will tell about them, and this makes them to avoid eating. They appear extremely thin or emaciated. They are very thin and due to rapid weight loss. And they also complain of nausea, vomiting, or bloating. Nausea is there, vomiting is there, bloating. Bloating is the gas accumulation after consumption of normal food. Girls suffer from loss of menstruation. They don't eat, they are malnourished, and therefore menstrual cycle does not occur regularly. They refuse to eat, deny hunger, or they eat tiny portions of food. They eat very little. They eat only idli, half idli. They rigidly avoid specific foods like meat, milk, or all white foods. All these chocolates, sugars, all these, each one have their own perceptions. And based upon those perceptions, they avoid eating particular type of food. They exercise heavily and show a different behavior while eating, such as using special utensils like having a very small plate or using a very small spoon to eat. The next disorder is called as the bulimia nervosa. This is a quite contrast with anorexia nervosa. Bulimia nervosa is a eating disorder that is characterized by periods of binging and purging. They eat a lot of food and vomit the food and develop unrealistic ideas about the food. The bulimic adolescents eat large quantities of food and then purge. So this purging, usually they induce vomiting. Vomiting does not occur automatically. They consume lot of food and then they realize that they have overeaten, and what they do, they will go and induce vomiting and vomit all that they have consumed. Bulimia nervosa leads to dental enamel erosion because of the acidic content of the stomach coming back to the mouth during vomiting. It can cause dental cavities, swollen cheeks, callus on the back of the hands. Callus is nothing but the keratinization that occurs at the hair follicles. Callus, fatigue, they are extremely tired and weak due to malnutrition. And there are irregular menstrual period also. The vicious cycle of eating disorder. Negative self perceptions causing dieting, which leads to binge eating and purging. This once again cause negative self perception. So, this eating disorder is a consequence of psychological problem among the children, and they have to be given proper counseling psychologically, and nutritional guidance has to be given to overcome the eating disorder problem.